get things started with a special bout, 10 rounds in the middleweight division. The referee for this contest is Randy Newman. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, he's wearing the white trunks with black trim, and he weighs 162.5 pounds from Cleveland, Ohio. His professional record, 24 victories with 14 KOs, only 9 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sandman, Sanderline Williams. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, he's wearing the solid black trunks with gold letters and weighs 162.25 pounds. He's from London, England. His professional record, 24 victories, only 1 defeat. 23 of his 24 victories by KO. Ladies and gentlemen, Nigel, the Dark Destroyer, Benn.
Let's talk about the rules here in New Jersey, Al.
The 3 knockdown rule is in effect, standing 8 count. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you can only be saved by the bell in the last round. 10-point must system. The winner gets 10 points, loser 9 or less. And here in this state, sometimes it's a 10-8 round without a knockdown. 3 judges score the fight. The referee will not figure in.
So a look at Sanderline Williams, and he really is in a situation. I know we overuse this word must, but he is in a must-win situation. We'll tell you why. Nigel Benn is a no-nonsense guy. He goes out there with the intent of getting his man out of there. The last time he did just that against Jose Quinones. Got him out in 1 round. This is only his 3rd fight here in the United States. In his other one back in October, he beat Jorge Amparo, and Amparo did take him the distance 10 rounds. Sanderline Williams has lost 5 of his last 7, though, so that's why we say for him it is a must-win.
And we last saw Sanderline Williams against Ronnie Essed in a bout here on ESPN in Cleveland, which he had to go to the 13th round. It was a USBA vacant title, and they had to go to the last round, the 13th round, the next round, when it was declared a draw, and he ended up losing it to Essed.
In Sanderline's defense, he has lost 5 of his last 7, but he has been fighting some of the better fighters in the division, and he's been losing closely.
Lost to Don Lee in 12 for the vacant NABF Super Middleweight Championship. That was the NABF Championship to Ronnie Essed, not USBA, as I indicated.
Nigel Benn with just the 1 loss, coming against Michael Watson. And he says more than anything else, he wants to get back in there with Watson, and he is headed in that direction. Actually, I happened to be in England when that fight was held, and saw him on the air a couple of days after the fight. He was very apologetic to the British people because he's very popular there.
Good right hand is what does most of the damage for Nigel Benn. Got a good jab, though, that sets that right hand up.
It's a good showcase for Nigel Benn, and for that matter for Sanderline Williams, because of the fact
Stop punching, step back.
a lot of the nation's sporting press is on hand for this one because of the George Foreman Jerry Cooney fight here in this same arena tomorrow night.
As you look around this crowd, for instance, I looked over and saw Iran Barkley, who was recovering from eye surgery. Still got a patch on his eye. He's the man that Williams took to a very close 10-round decision. Many people believe Williams won that fight in Madison Square Garden.
A lot of the young up-and-coming fighters on hand here too. Ray Mercer is here, Vince Phillips, Andrew Maynard, just to name a few.
All right, don't hit him back,
Quite a
step back.
boxing gathering. All spearheaded for the Cooney Foreman tomorrow.
Also saw Archie Moore.
On the back, all right, that's
Working
it.
with
Step back.
Foreman, so he's very much in evidence. Ben has been concentrating on trying to get his jab going and land those rights like that.
That's a pretty quick right hand, doesn't he?
That's his big weapon.
Coming down to the end of the first round, and a relatively close round, but Nigel Benn seemingly controlling the first 3 minutes of this fight. Nigel Benn, as we mentioned, a guy who really is all business, looks absolutely fit. Blamed himself for his one loss to Michael Watson.
And Michael Watson's undefeated, very fine boxer who was supposed to move on to fight Mike McCallum, broke his nose. McCallum instead now is fighting Stevie Collins. So no shame in losing to Michael Watson at all. Very fine boxer.
in the first round. It was largely a feeling out round, but Ben slightly the better of it. Ben, a guy who doesn't waste a lot of punches. Pretty right hand, throws it and gets it back very quickly. That was a good shot by Williams, and it hurt Nigel Benn. Just came right out of the blue, and Williams will try and get him out of there. Another left hand. Benn is still in trouble.
And Ben is not a boxer. Wow, look at him come back with the right hand. Williams has to be careful here because he's facing a huge puncher. You don't want to make a big mistake while you think the guy's hurt, and Ben is hurt.
Still. That came out of the blue.
Not quite what Nigel Benn had in mind here. Williams backing off. Something Ben might have hit him with might have given him back that respect. Williams went after him and couldn't put him down.
See if that doesn't serve as a wake-up call for Nigel Benn. Seemed like everything was going swimmingly for him.
You wonder if Williams didn't kind of tire himself out there. I'm not sure Sanderline is in absolutely 100% tip-top shape for this bout. When I asked him today, he said, yeah, I'm in good shape. But it was one of those answers where you know that he wasn't totally convinced himself. So after that flurry of punches, he may have tired himself a little bit. But he did serve notice to Nigel Benn that he could hurt him.
Ben does seem to be okay now.
Good hook on the inside by Williams. Williams has found a home for that left hook, I'll tell you what.
And now Williams gets driven into the ropes and Ben jumps on him.
Ben hurt him with one of those short right hands.
Ben clearly the stronger puncher of the two, clearly. And Williams fighting in retreat. I think he's still hurt.
All right.
And you know that you have look at Victor. I don't want to
Get a little bit closer to me. Fronting punches too fast while you run into that one. You're caught for counter punch. Get in closer. Start working underneath now.
your fight the way you work.
Work him
Eyes to
underneath.
Vic, hands up.
So get him hands up.
Don't
Drop
worry
your
about
legs,
that.
see, because you let yourself
Put your
over.
legs
You
out,
went
put your
from, you dived into one. You caught a counter punch.
Kick them legs.
Attack out, just walk straight. Walk a bit
No
closer to
suicide.
him. Don't front him punch. You're going a bit wild in that round.
Yeah.
Don't get so wild.
And just remember,
Put that water over the barrel. I'm all right, I'm sweet.
just remember about claiming.
Working for it, all right? Working for it. Wait. Get up the road. Come on, we're out.
So we start round number 3. And Ben just comes out banging here. Ben got a little careless in that second round, but at the end, coming back very strong.
No panic in his corner either.
Right, all right, step back. Don't punch in the back. Step back. Yeah,
Got it even. Give the second round to Williams. Even though Ben came on very strong, I thought Williams had done a lot of good work. And even in the second portion of the round, landed some pretty good counter punches. Tell you what, he did hurt Ben that last round. So for Williams, at least that gives him the idea that he can hurt him.
Since that time, though, Williams seems to be fighting almost in retreat.
Yeah. Something happened after that sequence where he really was loath to come in and go after Ben. Give Ben credit. He really recuperated pretty quickly from that. Williams is crafty. He's a very tough man to hit squarely. Barkley found it out. Tate found it out.
throw a lot, but when he does, it's a strong jab.
Williams went over to Belfast to fight Harold Graham from England. Lost in 10 to him.
Lost a controversial decision, too. It was a close fight.
Williams is always in fights when he faces the top guys.
Right, step back, Colonel.
I'll tell you what, when he was talking to us today, he was explaining how important. He said, I just have to get a win. He said, I've really gone downhill since the Essett fight. I don't feel I'm fighting as well. And he had his opportunity there in round 2. The hook is there for Williams. That's the key, I think. If I was Sanderline Williams, Barry, I would be looking to really get in a position to crank up that left hook. I mean, that punch is there for him now. It's not normally his stock in trade, but that's what Ben is giving him. I think that's what right there. There it is. Beautiful. See, double left hook. He can land that punch almost all night, especially when he doubles up.
All right, work your way out of there. All right, step back. Let his arm go. Let his arm out of there, Ben. Halt, right, step back.
And you know what's funny about that? That left hook isn't really what Williams would normally rely on. So he has to adjust his thinking and say, I've got to do this now because it's there.
So a round where neither man really took complete charge. End of 3, and we'll be back.
All right, that's it. That's enough.
Here in round 2 is where Williams was able to nail Nigel Benn and hurt him. Good short left hook on the inside. Yeah, that's what stunned him. See, there's that left hand. That short left is there for Sanderline Williams.
No, but the truth is, that looked like a good punch, but it sure didn't look like a great punch. The kind of punch that would knock a man back against the ropes.
I think because it was so short and compact, Barry. There you see the total punches with Ben just a tad of a lead over Williams, throwing more and landing just a little bit more.
Step back, stop punching.
Neither man has really taken charge of this fight so far. It's there to be won.
Take your time, Sandy.
Ben said today how happy he is training in Florida and how much he enjoys being in this country. He said, if you have to come to America if you're going to make it in boxing, and that's what I decided. Good uppercut. That's another punch that Ben has in his arsenal that is really excellent.
You know, along those lines, Jeff, and that is a fact, I think, that you do have to come to the States, but boxing is big time in England.
Oh, yeah.
Great crowds, people really like it, and yet they haven't really been able to harvest a great crop of fighters.
No, it's been touch and go for them. Occasional champion here and there, but last middleweight champion they had was Alan Minter. Briefly held that crown before Marvin Hagler took it over, and that's Ben's idol, marvelous Marvin Hagler. I want to wish a happy birthday to Jerry Solomon, who's one of the big advertising people with sports advertising people with Budweiser. Jerry's a good man who's here at all the fights, and it's his birthday today.
So happy.
And like all of us, I'm sure he's sitting here scrutinizing Nigel Benn, really looking at him, trying to figure out just how much of a threat in the middleweight division this young man would be.
And it's hard to tell. I've been doing the same thing, frankly, just sitting here thinking, how would he be against some of the other middleweights? And frankly, I don't have a decision myself yet. I don't have any strong feelings about how he would fare.
And you know, part of the time when you face a Sanderline Williams, there's a perfect example of why it's hard to tell, because he's got all those slick moves.
Coming out of the end of the 4th round, and again, Sanderline Williams is there and doing a pretty good job. Fifth round of a 10-round fight. Sanderline Williams in the white trunks and Nigel Benn in the black trunks. Take a look at the jabs through the first 4 rounds, and Williams working his both more and more effectively than Ben, but I guess you might expect that.
Yes and no. But I think a big part of Nigel Benn's arsenal is that jab because of the right hand. Even though Williams seems like more of a boxer type.
That's a slip as Ben was off balance when he threw that shot.
I'm the only guy in the world that can diplomatically contradict you.
Yeah, I was
yes
just
and
gonna
no.
say, yeah, but it's really no. I appreciate it. I appreciate the velvet gloves.
Well, I could be wrong, you know.
Absolutely wrong, you old crap.
There's Williams using that jab. Whatever we think, he is using it better, and it's important for him.
But you know, you really have a sense that Williams' confidence is growing in this fight.
Yeah.
He was a lot more stationary before, and he was really fighting backwards, but backwards in a defensive mode. And now he seems to be circling, looking for his shots, up on his toes a little more. Took a shot there, though.
There's the jab of Ben. This jab thing is going to be a real big deal because if we start heading into the later rounds and Williams has landed just such a preponderance of jabs, we're really going to have to start, the judges are going to have to deal with this issue in each round. Now there's one, didn't do much damage. There's another, kind of pecked away at the, there's another. Last one missed.
All right, step back.
Meanwhile, Ben misses with the right hand, getting dirty looks from the Logan Hobson and Bob Canovio are punch, but they think I'm counting the punches verbally now.
Hey.
I'm getting in trouble with everybody. I contradict Barry. The punch profile's mad at me. And Tyrone Trice doesn't like us either. He doesn't think we're giving him the credit he's supposed to get.
They have a new contract, bigger than ours.
That's right. I better start making some friends here on Top Rank Boxing. This 5th round is pivotal here. I tell you, I agree with what you said about the confidence of Sanderline Williams, but is he doing enough for the judges to say, yes, I want to give him this round?
I agree with you about that.
Really,
you might be able to hear Sanderline Williams' corner saying, move, Sandy, move, Sandy.
Now, there was a good counterpunch by Williams after Ben missed.
Coming to the end of the 5th round, and again, a close fight, but the question is Williams doing enough?
This is Ben with a real strong jab in a round, ironically, in which Williams landed 18 of 21 jabs himself for 67%.
Williams' jab has been effective, but he's not nearly as strong a puncher as Nigel Benn, although he did get probably the single best punch of the fight in.
Got a dead even, 48-48. One of the rounds was judged even by me, and boy, I can smell a split decision coming.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least a close one.
In Nigel Benn's corner, incidentally, while we were away, they were saying, you've got to get going. You've got to get going.
There's the Ben jab. I think he should really use that and then follow. There's the right hand, so he can really set things up for him. He walked right into a left, though. When Ben gets over anxious and jumps in, a guy like Sanderline Williams is gonna hit you.
Yeah, Ben. Right hand by Williams there, drives Ben into the ropes again. Stepped right into the Williams right hand. He's got him again. It won't take much, but Ben fights off the ropes with a left hand of his own, and Williams backs off.
Nice hook by Williams, but Ben regained his equilibrium. You know, Sanderline Williams is more comfortable as a counterpuncher. When he's got a guy in trouble, it's harder for him to be accurate.
Can't imagine Williams hitting a man any better than he did with that right hand.
Well, he's not a devastating puncher, but obviously he's got enough to get your attention. I'm sure Iran Barkley and Frank Tate would say that also, though neither were in desperate trouble against Williams. They were hurt. Well, this 6th round, I'll tell you what, Williams' best round of the fight, to be sure, at a time when Nigel Benn and his people are starting to think about, am I showing my marketability? Am I being impressive enough? Well, that may go out the window, and they may be thinking, can I be winning?
Yes, he's showing an ability to be hit is what he's
Yeah.
showing right at the moment. Because as you said, Williams is not what you would put in the category of devastating puncher. So now you got to start thinking what would be happening or what would have happened had that have been somebody else.
Now, that's right. Now Williams, you can see he's marshaling his energy to win the rest of this round. He's saying, all right, I didn't knock him out. I don't want to get too crazy here. I want to make sure he doesn't hit me, land some counter punches, and get through this round. Good jab there by Nigel Benn. But, you know, they're yelling double jab from Nigel Benn's corner. We haven't seen a double jab in rounds from him, and that would be a very effective weapon.
And when he does work the jab, it's not a bad jab. It's a strong jab. He doesn't just stick it out there.
Oh, nice combination. Remember I said at the beginning, combinations from Williams? We haven't seen as much of those as he would like, but that's beautiful what he just threw.
And about a 4-punch combination, too.
Sanderline Williams is the very definition of the word cutie in the ring. I mean, he's got a real clever style.
Yeah, I was going to say, up until about the 5th round, nobody really had dictated the tempo of the fight, and right now it's starting to be Williams who is stating how this fight is going to be fought.
And I'll be very interested when we get a look at our punch numbers from that round, because Williams must have had a huge edge. Sanderline Williams, good straight right hand. And as you said, Barry, that's about as good as he can throw. Then the hook, which just barely got there. And at this point, Ben did a nice job against the ropes of bobbing and weaving and avoiding those punches. From yet another angle, you can see, very nice. Pushes that punch just a little. And we'll see him also clip him with, well, that left hook really didn't land, so it was really just the right hand.
The other thing, too, he's had a couple of chances to finish, and when he gets in a situation of trying to finish, he has a tendency to slap.
That's exactly it. You know, Williams landed 61% of his punches in the last round, and Ben only 35%. So that would indicate the big edge that we talked about.
Big round for Sanderline Williams.
There is something we haven't seen from Nigel Benn, a good hook for the body. Ben with still a very, very slight edge in number of punches landed, but you can see what a close fight this is based upon that.
Good jab by Williams. A little bit of a headbutt there, too.
That jab of Williams, look at, he's landing that punch. I mean, he's getting in often. Ben has been more aggressive in this round, too. I just think looking at Sanderline Williams, you get the feeling that these last few rounds are going to be struggle for him, though, because of conditioning. You feel him just not quite as frisky as you might think he should be here in the 7th round.
Absolutely my observation, too. I completely agree.
You keep moving, Sandy.
And you can hear his corner saying, keep moving, keep moving. They've really been exhorting him to do that. And that isn't even further. He's out of gas yet. He just seems to be harboring a lot.
Mm-hmm. You know, the other thing is when he puts more than one punch together, Williams, Nigel Benn has a real tough time dealing with that.
Break. All right, you're tied up. Let him out of there.
I think fighters with a lot of hand speed and foot movement and combinations will give Nigel Benn a lot of problems.
Looks like it. Looks like
I
he's a guy who thinks offense, period.
Ben trying to put his punches together a little better. In this round, he has been more aggressive. There's the uppercut. A good punch for Ben. He's really shown that punch to be effective. Now, Williams has not gone back to that left hook, I don't think, enough.
Williams jabs. It is a most effective jab. There again, you can hear his corner.
If I was Nigel Benn, I'd do what he just did there, and that is look to time a right hand, a lead right over that jab of Williams. Finally did that and got one in.
Coming toward the end of the 7th round. Again, a very close round, although you might have to give this one to the visitor from England. We'll be back. Round number 8, fight scheduled for 10 rounds, and I think in Sanderline Williams' corner, we were eavesdropping in the corner while we were away at commercial, and they're kind of telling him the same thing that you and I observed, Alan. That is, obviously they have a fighter who is maybe not in 100% peak physical shape, and they're kind of telling him, hey, you're doing all right, you're doing all right, keep it going, do a little bit more, don't wait for the decision to be made, go out there and do something, make the decision yourself.
Well, I think mostly it was a pep talk, trying to pump him up, as you indicated.
On your card, it is, I'd say close.
Fairly close, yes. Can't be closer. 67-67. You know, again, quite unofficial, and I'm not saying that facetiously. I'm reminding people that it is unofficial, that judges could have a whole different slant on this. There's one round in this fight I know, and that's the 6th, where Williams won that.
Yeah, even the second round where he hurt him was not that clear.
No, could have gone for Ben. There's Williams keeping that jab steadily in Nigel Benn's face. Oh, now that's a strong jab by Williams. Some of those are softer jabs. That one was a strong one. Those are marginal. You know, you might count those, you might not.
But Ben, as he was earlier in the fight, now fighting more flat-footed and almost off his back foot.
He's missing a lot. Ben, his accuracy is really not what he would want in this fight. I mean, you look at this portion of this round, it's real tough to see that many punches Ben is landing. Oh, there's a good uppercut. This is the quintessential Sanderline Williams fight, but you know, it could end up being the exact prototype of his fights in that he could end up with another close decision loss, and that doesn't do him any good.
No, that's right.
No, moral victories are not going to help him at the age of 31. And if Nigel Benn escapes here, even with a decision win, he goes on to knock somebody else out, and he'll still get a title shot, and nobody will remember, just like they didn't with Iran Barkley and with Frank Tate. Nobody remembered too much that they had a close decision win over Sanderline Williams.
Yeah, it really is right at the moment headed in exactly that direction. Close with Harold Graham, close with Frank Tate, close with Iran Barkley.
See, I like Williams in this 8th round, but I don't know if everybody does. I still think he's landing more effective punches here.
I have to think that this 8th round would be a hard round for him to earn on the judges' cards, unless he finishes the last 10 seconds well. Even though you easily could make a case as you have for him winning it. Maybe that might have helped him. We'll be back.
Jab on.
2 rounds left, Sandy. 2
Looking in the corner of Sanderline Williams, and there's some concern in the corner just a moment ago. They're trying to make the point of get your man out of there, because if you sit back and wait to win a decision, it might not happen.
He's tired, man. Don't let him rest. Keep on.
Step in with that jab. Step in with that. Big up to
Yeah, they said to him, as we take a look in the last round, Ben missing and Williams with the hook pushing him back. Nothing too big damaging there, but he did push him back. They said to him, don't leave it in the hands of the judges.
Sanderline Williams going to have to dig down and find something here over the last couple of rounds. A close fight. It's a fight that he can win. But I think his corner's advice is pretty sage. He has to go out and get it.
And see, he is blocking all those jabs by Nigel Benn. Maybe one got in. Well, you can see we've got Williams edging ahead. And of course, that would indicate just how close this bout is. It's the punch profile that you see.
Again, Williams catching most of Benn's punches on the gloves.
Now there was Nigel Benn timing the jab and throwing a right over it, which I alluded to a couple of rounds ago.
Break. Step back. All right, one step back. Let's go, gentlemen.
Keep it moving, Sanderline. Come on, Let's go. Find this place.
Ben coming with an uppercut.
Break. All right, get out of there. Let's go, gents. Break it up.
Get this place, Sanderline. Let's go.
Nigel Benn rated in the top 10 by everybody.
Number 1 IBF, as a matter of fact. Good combination by Sanderline Williams. check that number 8 IBF.
Number 9 WBC, number 6 WBA. So he's right in the thick of it in the hunt. And it goes without saying. That a loss here would set him back severely. But even though it went without saying, I said it anyway. So I guess it didn't. There's Williams with the hook. I really think that he's missing a bet with that hook because that is after all the punch he's hurt him with a couple of times.
A little bit of blood from the nose of Sanderline Williams.
You know, they may say after this spot, I could just almost hear it, well, Williams is tough for us in Ben's corner. Williams was more of a survivor. It was tough to fight. But, Jim, look, he's standing right there. He's not exactly, Williams isn't like dancing around the ring.
Oh, yeah, I would not put this, I wouldn't characterize this fight as saying Williams fought it like a survivor.
Yeah, I mean, he's
good right hand by Ben there.
You know what's interesting? I don't think Nigel Benn's power is awe-inspiring to Sanderline Williams.
No, I don't either. And in fact, but when you sit here and listen to his punches, it sounds like a heavy-handed puncher. But
and he has been knocking people out. Knocked out Tim Williams, who we saw recently. We saw Williams take Matthew Hilton all the way before he knocked out in the 10th round. A better round for Nigel Benn, though. Much better round.
And it all could come down to the 10th round. End of 9. Follow you into the corner of Sanderline Williams. 3 minutes of boxing left.
Got to have this round. This guy, he ain't hitting you. He ain't hitting you. He just going wild.
Last round, gentlemen.
Let's go back to the keys of victory, Al.
Well, I don't think Ben got enough pressure early. He's not thrown enough body punches, in my opinion. For Williams, he did slow the pace a bit, but he has not thrown, I don't think, as much combination. So it's a very mixed bag for each man. That's why it's such a close fight.
It's got to be a very interesting decision, I think.
Very close fight, I think.
Yes.
We certainly have it that way. Our punch profile numbers would indicate that. And I'll tell you, over there in that corner, that man and the people around him didn't want this. They didn't want to be going into a 10th round. And let's assume for a moment we're full of it. Let's assume for a moment our punch profile
There's
numbers.
a lot of people out there that do.
Yeah, that's right. Let's assume I'm wrong in my scoring. Our numbers nobody likes, and it ends up being a bigger decision win for Nigel Benn. I got to tell you, based upon this performance, it still doesn't put him in the top echelon of middleweights.
Not yet.
You don't want to make that kind of declarative statement, but and also maybe that's an unfair statement because after all, Aaron Barkley went on to win a title, virtually lost to Sanderline Williams, many believe, and Tate was a very close fight. So maybe it's just that Sanderline Williams is a darn tough guy to fight.
And Ben might be a little bit tight, too. We mentioned this only his 3rd fight, and certainly the one which puts him under the microscope more than any of the others. Your card is dead even, so it does come down to this round.
I gave the last round to Ben. But in the world of boxing, where it seems everything is painted in black and white in terms of you're either great or you're not so great. There doesn't seem to be a lot of gray areas in between. Then if you judge it that way, they're not going to like what Nigel Benn did. But I'll tell you, he's wailing away with some bombs here in this 10th round.
There's not a lot of mauve or mauve
That's
in
right.
boxing, is it? Ben being a little bit better in this round and in the last.
And Williams' technique on that left hook is not as good as it was early. He's tired. He's throwing that left hook more as an arm punch. He's not bending his body into it. Nigel Benn's making a strong case in these last 2 rounds for himself. You know, we've been a little critical because he hasn't been the world beater he wanted to be against Sanderline Williams, but he's doing some good things in that ring.
Ben clearly the least tired of the two. Williams may not be doing enough here in this final round. Ben walked into a left hand again. Williams trying to jump on top of him.
Williams does not have an uppercut in his arsenal, really, and that hurt him in that sequence. Whether he had been hurt on the ropes or not, I don't know, but he had him there.
Steady finisher! Move it, Williams! Jab! Jab! Jab!
5 seconds remaining in this fight.
Well, Sanderline Williams gave us the performance we would have expected from Sanderline Williams, and just a tad more. Nigel Benn did some nice things, but is he the second coming in the middleweight division?
The fight ends with high action. Entertaining 10 rounds of fighting, I'll say that.
Well, the action got heated in the last round. They were both wailing away on the inside. Williams landing a good left hook and pushing Benn against the rope and not landing at all there in a round that was close, but I think might have been eked out by Benn.
All right, let's make it official here. We'll get the word from Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the official scoring, and we have a split decision. John Riley scores the bout, 96-94. He has it for Williams. Frank J. Cairo scores it, 97-93 for Ben. And Al DeVito scores it, 98-92 for the winner on a split decision from London, England, Nigel Benn.
Well, again, not a surprise that it's a split decision, but very much a surprise in how much the third judge had scored the fight for Ben.
98-92 is ludicrous, but I think that's obvious.
We're going to go up to Al Bernstein in the center of the ring with Nigel Benn right now. Just let me give you a couple of numbers here. Benn scored on 36% of his punches to 42.5% for Williams. Williams landed 146 jabs to 60 for Nigel Benn, but Nigel Benn, at least on one card, a lopsided winner. Al?
Well, Nigel Benn, you got your win here tonight. I'm not sure if it was exactly the kind of win you wanted. It turned out to be a split decision. I was a little surprised at the margin. I thought you won by a point or two.
Yeah.
What did Sanderline Williams do tonight that was so difficult? He's done it to other contenders. He did it to you tonight.
I'll tell you what, he's very tricky. You know, you can't get a clean shot at him. And plus, he's very slippery. You know, I just couldn't get a clean shot at him whatsoever. So I thought, instead of trying, because I made a lot of mistakes in the fight.
Did he hurt you? Did he hurt you early in the fight?
Well, it didn't hurt me. He caught me with some clean shots, you know, and I wobbled, but, you know, when I wobbled, I still kept myself together tonight.
All right, let's look at the second round. You did a great job of keeping yourself together. Here he'd hit you with a short left hook. Against the ropes, you did a good job of containing and bobbing and weaving.
Yeah, you know, I knew he was like, he can punch a bit, but the thing about it, it was so tricky. He was so tricky. I underestimated him.
Are you ready to step in and fight for a world title? What does this fight tell you in terms of that?
Well, it tells me, you know, you got to be prepared for people that are very slippery. I mean, people like Iron Barkley, Doug DeWitt, you know, they're made for me.
You feel that because they're sluggers, you feel you have a better chance against them?
Yeah, much so. But this guy is very slippery.
All right, well, congratulations on your win anyway.